you envision him playing center field 150 times next year, 40 times?
Yeah, I mean, we envision him playing center field. Obviously, he's missed some time over the last few years, and as we dug into it, the question is it predictive as you look forward? And like he said, most of them have been impact-type injuries. He's had one soft tissue injury, and you get into how well a guy takes care of himself, how clean does he live, eat, and those things that factor into player health. And as we dug into it, we felt really good about that he does everything he possibly can to stay on the field. And to the extent that he gets hurt or someone else gets hurt, I think that's kind of a hallmark of our team. We have depth and versatility to be able to figure that out. And as we looked ahead to 2019 and beyond, we've got a number of left-handed hitters that are under control for a while. We've got some left-handed hitters coming. Didn't have as much from the right side. And as we looked at 2019 specifically, we felt like we were going to be a very dynamic offensive team against right-handed pitching. And against left-handed pitching, we weren't going to be as good. And so to try to balance that out a little bit, obviously if you have to be better against one side, you'd rather it be versus right-handed pitching, being that you face it more often. But I think a big focus for us this offseason has been on how to achieve more consistency. And I think the team last year was the most talented team I've ever been around. But for a host of reasons and some bad luck, some real, we weren't as consistent. And I think a big thing for us is to avoid the games when we score 0, 1, or 2 runs. As often as we can, score 3 or more, and we will win a lot of games doing that, and especially with our pitching staff. And so for us, it's just about trying to be more consistent. And we feel like AJ fits in really well with that, not just in 2019, but also as we look ahead.
You thought last year's team was more talented than 17?
I did.
How about like the 2010 Rays?
I thought last year's team was the most talented team I've been around.
And this year, how do you see this team? Is it as good as last year?
I mean, we talk about this every offseason. I think the most important thing that we have to do when the offseason starts is to critically assess the team from the year before. And it's not just how many games did we win. It's what was our kind of talent level. Were we kind of at what we should have expected, below, above? And we felt like we were much better than a 92-win team, and that matters. And it factors in as far as we are putting together the roster for the following year. And we think we're going to be a really, really good team this year that's going to be extremely well balanced. And that's something for us that, again, the consistency is something that I think we're going to harp on a lot. And being able to have our talent level come out on a nightly basis way more often, I think is something that is important. And so balancing out a little bit more the versus right, versus left was important for that. Or like we saw a couple years ago, where teams start rearranging their rotation for their left-handed starters to get us to something we didn't want to confront again.
So if you envision AJ playing 140, 150 games, whatever, in center, what does it leave Cody? Is he going to be more of a corner outfield in first base? Or?
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not sure exactly how the playing time is going to split up. We think we have a really talented group of position players that are going to be really strong on the run scoring side and also really good on the defensive side. Last year our defense had lapses from time to time. We think we have a chance to have kind of 3 elite defenders in the outfield that is going to be a real competitive advantage. And as far as Cody goes, yeah, I think he'll play some corner outfield, he'll play some center, and he'll play some first.
How dynamic is AJ to you, and do you think you're getting his prime years right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's something that as much as you can for someone that you haven't been around, we do digging on their makeup and how will they prepare and their aptitude. And everything we got back on AJ was as good as it gets. And what I mean by that is the intellectual curiosity. He's a guy that has obviously had a lot of success, but he's trying to figure out ways to get better. And he and Robert really connected last year in Arizona, and we saw in those first couple months, kind of a different gear. And then he got hurt, and he came back, and it was a little uneven from there. And guys press in free agent years still really good, but we actually think that there's potentially more in there. But even as is, it's a player that provides value in all facets of the game. He'll provide value on defense, on the bases, and in the batter's box. And someone that kind of fits into our core and our nucleus really well.
Why did you feel you had to be creative with the contract to stay under the luxury tax?
I think it's always beneficial to figure out ways to, be creative with contracts. I think, it's something that, for us, we're always doing everything we can to put ourselves in the best position to win a World Series in the coming season, but also not turning a blind eye to future years. And kind of balancing those is a fine line that I think every team walks every offseason. And so anytime you can do things that provide benefit at times where it's more valuable than other times, I think it's always a helpful thing.
So you expect to be under the tax?
I'm not sure. I mean, I think right now we're solving for being the best team we can be, both short-term and long-term, and trying to balance that, with the players that we have right now, with, how the landscape looks going forward. And, obviously we've got a very mature, full payroll.
Right.
And next year we have a lot more flexibility in that respect. So I think it's always kind of balancing that and not putting yourself in a position where, you potentially fall off a cliff.
Right.
And I think that's one thing we've done pretty well, is maintain a high level, and that's something that, is easier said than done. And, there's a lot of history in the last 10 years of some large revenue teams taking big dips down and, trying to build back up, and we're trying to do everything we can to avoid that.
Is it being viewed as a hard line? Like, 'cause if you go over $5, it costs you $1, I guess.
Yeah.
So like,
I mean, there's future baseball costs the following year.
right.
Right. And so it's just weighing it,
Okay.
balancing.
There's a domino effect, obviously, in the outfield, but how does this also impact second base and middle field positions?
I think with CT and Kike, they're both going to play a good bit, and there's going to be some competition between them, and they put themselves in a position where, they deserve to play. And so how that shakes out exactly remains to be seen. And, as far as Corey goes, we're optimistic, and he's done everything he can to this point. But until he gets into games and bounces back and plays the next day, it's just guesswork right now. We feel as good as we can on January 26th.
Yeah.
Thank you. And, it'll take until we get into spring training and ramp him up and how he's bouncing back. And we expect him to be full go on opening day, but we're also prepared for if we need to kind of ease him in.
With the elite outfielder you discussed, does that close the door on negotiations with certain Bryce Harper?
I can't speak about guys that are free agents right now.
Wait, who are the 3 elite outfielders?
I mean, we have
Pollock, Bellinger, and Verdugo?
Jock, Verdugo, CT, Kike. I mean, we just, no matter who we put out there, I think we're going to be really good at tracking down balls in the air.
For coming season, do you see Kenta only as a starting pitcher, or depends on the situation with the reliever?
I mean, I think the biggest thing for us is we don't get too far ahead of ourselves, and that things can change. But we expect on opening day for him to be 1 of 5 and to be a starting pitcher for us, and we expect big things out of him. And we're optimistic about what he can do every 5th day. He's had a lot of success in the past, but now with the way the split came on last year, we think that puts him in a position to potentially even reach another year.
And what makes you bring back Hyunjin with such a high financial risk?
Obviously, we saw what Hyunjin is capable of last year. He obviously had the groin injury, but pitched at a really high level. This is the first time since I've been here that I really got a chance to watch him compete every fifth day, and his feel for what he does and his ability to execute is really good. And you know, when you're able to do that with a good game plan and with a good defensive unit behind you, good things happen.
Thank you, guys.